Well, some of you would have seen my first video on this place, and I've been sort of toying with the idea for a while of doing another one. So here we go. I'm not actually going to do a walk along the main road as I did before, chatting away. There was a lot of wind noise in that one, and hopefully it's quite a peaceful day today. And I've got a different microphone on, so not just relying on the standard mic off the phone. Right, so we're outside what they call Club Gate of Pontins here, which is just behind me here. As you can see, there's Club Gate there. All right, and as you can see from the sign, we are 200 metres from the main gate. Now, I will go over some stuff that I mentioned in the other video as well, so apologies if I double up on anything. Hopefully you'll get some new information or some interesting information out of this video. Now, I'm not going to do it as one hit. The last one I was walking along because I did it in one bit, but I am going to split this one up and edit it, and there's a few photos I'm going to put in here as well. So I'll be stopping the video and then you'll see some photos, or a photo, and then a bit more video and then another photo, whatever. And I'm going to show you actually a couple of photos inside the chalets in their current state. Okay, and I'm not going on site, obviously. These are previously cobwebs. These are previously taken photos. All right, and right, I'm just going to move position, get the main building in the background. Catch you in a minute. Right, so here we are. I'm just over the main road, actually, just the other side of the road from the main building, as you can see there. A big blue elephant in the village, and it's not in a particularly great state of repair. I mean, it looks disgusting, and it is leaking water, and they've actually moved out of it now. There's no water into that building at all. The water mains to the entire site has been switched off. There's no mains, water, no flushing toilets, anything like that. And just behind that, of course, is the swimming pool, and the swimming pool's now been completely drained, and even traffic. Let these couple of cars go past, and even there's tiles popping off the pool where it's been drained, and it's cracked, and the pool was leaking quite badly, in fact, which is part of the reason that they drained it and stuff. But in fact, you know what, this place isn't going to open again in its current state, but even if it did, that pool is completely condemned because it doesn't hold water, it does leak, the mechanics of it are completely wrong. It's the actual building holding it up as well, the steels on the building holding it up are rotted through almost completely. So not only is it a health hazard, it's a health and safety hazard as well. So let's just get back the other side of the road. Hang on a sec. Right, so I'm the other side of the road now with the main building in the background, obviously. There she is. So a little bit of history, my history with it. Well, my wife worked there 10 years actually, right up to the end, and I worked there last year, 2023, for a season on maintenance, almost a season on maintenance, and I did a few weeks on the entrance gate as well. It was all right actually. You know what? I pretty much enjoyed it. Yeah, look, it wasn't perfect. You know, a few people probably thought I was a twat, and still do. I really don't care. You know, we all have our ways. I'm set in mine, they're set in there, whoever, you know, whatever, doesn't matter. So, now this big building here, so the main building, inside the main building is I'm just going to walk back down to this sign by Club Gate. So in the main building there, you've got reception, or you had reception, and then the arcade just from that, and behind the arcade, if you went through the arcade, you had the restaurant. Wish I could have done a walkthrough video in there, really show you the state of it now, but I'm not, you know, there's no access to the site. I'm not going in there, doesn't really matter. Then you had upstairs from that, well no, sorry, downstairs, so next to the arcade, you had a thing called Luna's, so that was a bar, stage, a smaller venue. And then upstairs was the big, massive venue, the Fun Factory. I can't remember what the capacity was, but it was big bar area, stuff like that. And you had the snooker room, darts, snooker tables, and various other things. Toilets scattered around the place. You also had, there was a sort of a good child's play area in the main building as well. That was pretty cool, actually. My grandson went in there a couple of times. He actually did quite enjoy that. So, and so behind that main building there, you've got the swimming pool, and then the blocks. So a lot of you will know this stuff already, okay? But so that the blocks are colour coded in various areas. So red block, which is behind me, pretty much here behind me, is what they call club apartments, slightly better grade of shit, and they had you know, maybe actually it didn't really have a better telly at all, because we used to go around fixing them tellies. They all had the same tellies in them ultimately, and you had, so there was red, yellow, blue and green, and you had yellow, blue, green, orange. Yeah, orange. So orange was way up the other side of the park, and in the end, because where the staff used to live, a lot of the staff that stayed on site used to stay in what we called Frog Alley, which was right up the back there, because you could hear the frogs in the stream behind it. So that was called Frog Alley, and but that got condemned. It was riddled with damp. It was disgusting. So they moved those staff that were in there. They moved them to into part of Orange, into the Orange Block chalets, which were, as I say, right down the other side of the park. I'm giving you a sort of full rundown explanation of the park here. And scattered around the park was obviously in between the blocks. There's various grassed areas, and you had some play parks, stuff like that. And that was the general layout. Now I'm going to put a photo up now of a couple of the chalets. See what you think. Yeah, not very good, them chalets, are they? And that's just a couple of them, to be honest. There's loads and loads more where the roofs are leaking and they've had, you know, pipes burst. Although there's no water on site now, there was a while ago last year, and burst pipes. Now I've just changed position a bit. I'm just down the road from where I was at that sign, and I've got the skate park behind me here. Right, now the surface of the skate park isn't particularly perfect, and it'd be great for like little BMX bikes and stuff like that, but the shame of it is that the locals couldn't ever use it. I mean, this used to be tennis courts in here. When I first moved to Camber 22 years ago, there was tennis courts here, and people could use them. I don't know if they had to rent them or who they rented them from, but I definitely remember seeing people playing there when the park was shut. So yeah, that's a shame. It's kind of like a wasted bit of land, especially as there's you know, there's plenty of kids in Camber that would like something to do, and they, just because they're out and about doesn't mean they're going to smash stuff up, you know. I should just let them use it, to be honest, but there you go, it's only my opinion. Now, what can we go back to? Hang on, let me have a think what we're going to cover next. The shop. Right, now as we know, and I covered this in the last video, in its last season this place lost millions. Okay, I mean, it had massive amount of overheads, massive amount of repairs needed doing, and that were done. They spent thousands on water leaks, and there was a big water leak down by the pool, but ultimately that was going to cost tens of thousands to repair. I can't remember what the quote was, 30 grand or something like that to repair this massive great big valve. But almost every time that they fixed a big leak, of course all the little leaks would get more pressure to them and become major leaks. So they were just chasing their tails on the water leaks, really, and that was costing them so much, and the water company threatening them with fines and stuff like that. So in the end they literally shut the water off, and that was just after last knockings of the park, in fact, closing. Now the shop, which closed quite recently, just a few weeks ago, and again there was a reason for that. Now I understand why people are pissed off with this place closing, okay, but when this place was open, everybody was moaning what a shithole it was, all right? And even locals, and I know locals that live not very far from it, let's say, and they would non-stop whinge about the noise. And listen, this place has been here since the 60s and people have moved in 5 minutes ago and then moan about it. It's not like it. You must have known it's a holiday park. It's going to be noisy. There's people on it, especially peak season. So you just can't keep some people happy. They're just professional whingers and moaners, right? But I totally sympathise with any local business that, well, kind of, I suppose, for want of a better way of putting it, relied on the turnover of visitors to Pontins for their income, especially seeing as a lot of the businesses relied on their income through the summer, you know, to see them through the quiet point of the winter when there's probably only 1,000 people living in a village or something like that. You know, maybe it's more than that now. But yeah, so I do sympathise with that. But the shop closed. I'm going to tell you, the shop closed because it was losing money. It wasn't making money. It was losing money hand over fist because the wages. It wasn't making enough. It was a manager. There was all these different staff. There was staff on old Pontins contracts, and they literally couldn't make money. Okay, now before you all start saying, "Oh yeah, but it was the," and people are saying this. They're saying, "Oh yeah, but it's community. We need this shop." All right. What you've got to bear in mind is, if that shop was yours, okay, and losing that much money, would you keep it open just because the community said so? No, you wouldn't. You would not pay out your pocket just to keep a shop open, just because it's going to do people that live there a favour, right? Not unless you were some sort of a massive multi-millionaire. Now we could argue that, in fact, the owner of this site actually is, but no doubt he's a shrewd businessman, as we know. And even though all these hotels are making a fortune out of immigrants and stuff like that, you know, if something's losing money hand over fist, you're going to close it. All right. Now the security have moved into the shop premises, because obviously the security were based in the main building, but no running water, no flushing toilets. They had to go all the way up the other end of the site to the bungalows or the shop to use to get flushing water, you know, to get running water and flushing toilets, which is borderline some sort of health and safety thing going on there. So yeah, security's now in the shop premises. What else is going on? Let me think. Yes. So the shop. Yeah, I thought it was quite good actually. The Nisa shop. You know, you can get your lottery there, and it was Nisa, wholly owned by Co-op, obviously Nisa, and the prices weren't too bad. If I'm honest with you, you get your 5% discount if you lived locally and all stuff like that. But yeah, as I say, ultimately, it is a shame that it's shut, because now with, you know, BJ's, the shop opposite, is grossly overpriced, and what used to be, well, a post office, I think it's still a post office, a few yards up the road, nobody with any sense bothers going in there, because they tried to well, I'm not going to say, but a lot of people weren't happy with the way things transpired in that shop during COVID, so and the way they put their prices up. So yeah, I never go in there. I used to go in there sometimes. I never go in there. I do go in BJ's. They're nice enough guys in there. And yeah, it is a shame. It is a shame that shop is shut, but it won't be opening again anytime soon. So what's next? Well, the big question everybody asks is, oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen here? What's going to happen with the park? Well, as you can appreciate, there is loads and loads of speculation. All right. So let's put some of it to rest. First of all, let's put some of it to rest. Right. Now, before I actually worked here on maintenance, I was called in as an outside contractor to remove one of the playgrounds. I'd been asked to come in and do some work on it, but actually I condemned it because it was so dangerous. So they then asked me to remove it because they had the Home Office coming down to do inspections, and with a view to housing some immigrants. Okay, now this was a good sort of couple of years ago, whenever it was, a bit more than that actually. So anyway, the story behind that was, okay, now this is what happened, right? They were going to use this site to house the people from Afghanistan that had helped the British military or the British government or something, so like the interpreters and their families and stuff like that. Now, as you can appreciate, all of a sudden everyone would have been coming over, yeah, I'm an interpreter and all that sort of stuff. So that would have been the dangerous side of it, I think, because they wouldn't have really been able to keep up with what was going on. But there was going to be all sorts of facilities in here for them. So this skateboard park, for example, behind me, there was going to put porta cabins in there with education centre, medical centre. There was going to be, yeah, education facilities, because obviously, like the kids coming in and all that. Now it was going to be guarded. Okay, the word was that it was going to be the actual military, because it had been people that had helped the military. It was going to be military that were guarding it. It wasn't just going to be some tin pot security company doing it. And the people were going to be contained within the site. Well, naturally, a lot of people were very concerned about this, because, you know, if some of them got out, and as usual, the people local, oh, we're all, you know, everybody's going to get raped and buggered, and you know what, right? I can kind of understand their fears. I'm no great fan of people coming over here, but it is what it is. You know, if they genuinely helped out and whatever, maybe, you know, I'm not best person to comment on stuff like that, but so that was what was going to happen, okay? And even as I was taking the playground down and making it safe, my eldest son actually came over to help me, because it was 2 days work, solid work, just taking that down, all the metal work, making it safe. And they were walking around signing stuff off and inspecting things, making sure it was ready for the final inspection so that they could move the people in here. But somehow, whatever, people found out and kicked up a fuss, right? Now bear in mind, this is the same people kicking up a fuss that, you know, this place is closed and there's no jobs locally and blah blah blah. Now it's what happened was, it was literally hours away from being signed, the deal. So this place for 2 years would have housed these immigrants, asylum seekers, you know, whatever. Right now, some MP or some councillor that's not even in Canberra, to be fair, butted in and then went and got in touch with another MP that was nowhere to be seen. And anyway, they put the kibosh on the deal, and the shame of that, of course. So, like, look, short term, yeah, okay, it wouldn't have been probably any better than it is now, but that deal was going to put over the 2 years tens of millions into this place, right? And now it would have kept people working, it would have kept them, lorry going past, it would have kept them in with jobs, because obviously they'd have needed the accommodation team, the cleaners. It would have been there would have been the restaurants on site, there would have been people to, would have been the maintenance as well, obviously, probably more maintenance actually, to make sure everything was up to speed, seeing as the government were paying. They probably put all the prices up as well. So the shame of that was that I get why people didn't want all those people in the village, and to be fair, obviously those people wouldn't have been spending money like holiday makers were with local businesses, because they would have contained it on the park. They was going to have their own shop with their own goods. That was all planned. And but long term, of course, because they could only do that for 2 years, because then if you go over the 2 years, then you need permissions for change of use. But as temporary usage, they could have got away with it, but they didn't, because then some MP jumped in and put the kibosh on it. But as I say, long term, I think it would have benefited the village, because they probably would have been out of there by now, if I'm honest, and we'd be looking at a much improved park. Right, they would have had the money, they would have invested the money in it, because they'd have had the money from the government for renting it to them. It would have cleaned it up, tidied it up a bit, and well, so that's that bit of history, right? That was what happened there. Now, hey, there's my mate. Hey, I thought I'd better give him a wave. Yeah, so that's what happened back then. Now, there's a lot of speculation, of course, still, that, you hear people commenting, it's going to be immigrants, it's going to be, no, it's not, right? It's not fit to put anybody in there, even boat people. It's not safe, and I'm going to tell you why. Now, there's 800 chalets, actually it's a bit more than that, but there's about, let's just say about 800 chalets over here between all the blocks in total, right? And they have all, literally all of them, got asbestos, mostly asbestolux panels, outside the front of them and inside, covering steelwork. not just plasterboard. Most of them have just got plasterboard ceilings and stuff like that. Hopefully you've seen the picture. In fact, I'll put the picture up again now. Hang on, I'll put the picture up again for you now. So yeah, there you go. In case you missed it the first time round, that's one or two of the shallows that are in a complete state. Now, in yellow block, there was some that had collapsed and been completely condemned because the asbestos had come loose and was a genuine health hazard. You know, couldn't go in there. Now, everybody, asbestos is perfectly safe as long as you don't break it, drill it, muck about of it, disturb it, whatever. If it's sealed, you can paint over it, you can do what you want, and it's not going to harm you. But continuous breathing in of this stuff in places is not good, and having it in so many places is also not good. Now, there's many comments of people saying, no, they should just flatten it and sell it off for housing. Yeah, I mean, great plan. Nobody ever thought of that. But here is the problem. 800 odd chalets riddled with asbestos. You can't just bulldoze that, right? Because it releases it all into the atmosphere. So that asbestos has to be removed in a safe and correct manner, which costs millions. I think it was about 5 million was the estimate to clear all the asbestos, and that's not replacing it with something else. That's just getting rid of the asbestos that's in there. These companies that do this sort of stuff, they can basically charge what they like, and so from Pontins or Britannia Jinky Jersey's point of view, right, if they're moving on with anything here and pulling it down, that's an expense they've got straight away. Now, some people could say, well, there isn't the infrastructure locally. You're right, there isn't. Now, people have said, oh yeah, knock it down, build loads of houses, affordable homes. No, there's no such thing as affordable homes anymore, right? Especially in Canberra. I mean, people, they're just not affordable. I mean, how do these young couples, young families, whatever, how do they afford to buy a house? The builders, when they build a bunch of houses or an estate, they're obliged to have so many of them available as affordable housing. But define affordable. Okay, what do they go by? Average house prices? Have you seen average house prices? They're insane, right? You know, yet people, you know, a lot of people in the area are on not a lot more than minimum wage, to be fair. You know, care workers, stuff like that. I mean, how can they afford affordable housing? It's madness. The infrastructure, when you think about it, I mean, Pontins did have its own it had a drainage system linked to the main drainage, so you know, that wouldn't exactly be an issue. The drainage wouldn't exactly be an issue. But if you've got another 1,000 people living here, you know, what about doctors' surgeries and stuff, dentists and stuff like that? It's bad enough already trying to get that sort of thing. So yeah, I don't think housing is the way forward. Now, Pontins don't own this land, and they never did. Okay, it's leased from Rother DC District Council. They own the land. Okay, now let's just imagine that they've shut the shop. Well, we're not imagining that, they've shut it. All right, it's closed. Nobody on the park now other than the security and one maintenance guy who's basically there to keep the grass down and a bit of litter picking, basically just make sure that the site looks reasonably presentable. Okay, it's going to be a lot easier for them now to just give that lease back, just dump it, just dump the lease, because do they want that expense, that 5 million or whatever it is, whatever it ends up costing them, just to remove the asbestos. That's before they've done anything else. Now, here's another thing, hang on. So I just wanted to change where I was standing. Now, they do say that the owner of the lease currently, Langham or whatever his name is, he's never sold anything, okay, that's the word. But that doesn't stop him giving it back, right, giving it away. If it's going to cost him, there's probably some sort of get out clause. If he just dumps the lease, I don't know. I don't know how that would work, but I'm pretty sure that he's losing a lot less money now because he's only got to pay security and one maintenance guy than he was when the park was open, because he had all the wages, all the power bills, all the stuff and repairs and maintenance and all that sort of stuff. So he's losing a hell of a lot less money now. This site's only costing him what, 25 grand a month or something like that, right? Let's just put that down as a conservative estimate, very conservative. And so after the site shut, they were toying with the idea. This is when they first said about having a maintenance person on site. Okay, so I just started a new role actually. I was maintenance for a local care home. Well, care home 10 miles up the road. And I interviewed with the area manager. Nice lady, I've known her for a while. And I don't know who that was, somebody waving. Oh well. And yeah, so I interviewed for the role, and it was a 2-year contract. Now, that kind of got me a little bit, that put me off a little bit, because, well, what's going to happen at the end of the 2 years? I said, well, what's happening at the end of the 2 years? I want a bit more assurance about this stuff. And like, well, we don't know. We now here's the thing. This was their words. That that might, they like what Butlins have done with certain site with log cabins. So there's no Butlins or anyone like that coming in to buy this, by the way. They're not stupid. And so the log cabin thing, they had this idea of pods at one point. They were going to put these independent pods around the place, which is I don't know what they're like, but the caravan park's already massive up the other end. Log cabin type of thing, it would be feasible, but again, before you even start putting the log cabins in, you've got to get rid of everything else, and before you get rid of everything else, you've got to get rid of the asbestos. Now, I know I'm repeating myself here and it's getting boring, but that's where the problems lay for anyone that's thinking of doing anything like this. No, house builders, people say, oh yeah, these house building corporations have got millions. Yeah, they have got millions, but they might not want to give 5 of it away just to get rid of asbestos, when they can go, that's before they've even bought the land off the council, and they'd have to get the land, then they've got to get the planning, and that's all hypothetical. Before, you're not guaranteed. This site doesn't come with outline planning permission, right? It's a holiday park, for God's sakes. Right, there's somebody walking down here, so I'm going to just switch off a sec. Right, sorry about that. Right, so choices. I think the reality of it is, with this site, choices are limited. It's not going to open up as Pontins again, right? Just because it's so run down. You've seen those couple of chalet photos that I've put up. That's just the beginning of it. We got roofs hanging off. We've got chunks of buildings hanging off. All sorts of stuff over there. I'm told the main building's leaking like a sieve. I believe a conservative estimate to bring it anywhere near a reasonable standard was somewhere in the ballpark of 50 million. No one's going to do that. Not when not just to get £9.99 red top newspaper readers in here on vouchers, and they were part of the problem, if I'm honest. You know, the scum smashing the place up. They come in, some people would get, this is the honest truth, okay? They come in on a voucher holiday, they'd get to their chalet, they would steal the telly, the fridge, the microwave, the kettle, the toaster, and they'd piss off home. They wouldn't even stay the night. They'd just come here knowing that they'd get that lot for a tenner and go. And that is the reason that we banned vans in the end. Vans were not allowed on park, commercial vehicles. We didn't allow them on park because and then you got the queues of them people moaning and, I want to bring my van on. Well, you ain't bringing it on. Yeah, well, I've got a disabled parking thing. Well, find a space out on the main road then, because you ain't coming in here. And then of course they'd end up kicking up such a fuss. It was pathetic. Pathetic lot of people, feral kids running around. It's no wonder this place gave up. You know, they just gave up in the end. Uncontrollable. Anyway, there's going to be. I think there's two options for this place. Okay. Number one is the log cabin thing, right? Now, it requires the return. I mean, that's a long-term thing. The returns wouldn't be instant, and if you know, it would have to be corporate. They couldn't do it like owners, you know, sort of owners renting them out and stuff like that, because you've only got to go to the caravan park up the road to see the extortionate pitch fees, right, that people are having to pay to keep their caravans on park. And I just don't think something. We don't need more of that, right? And the other thing that might work, I personally think they should knock it all down, do what they've got to do, and then build a massive hotel on this site, a huge hotel, God knows, you know, a few hundred rooms or whatever, and a couple of conference suites, pool, you know, fitness centre, things like that. They could still get back the things like the rockabilly, stuff like that, could still come down here if they had enough rooms, and, you know, sort of entertainment areas and stuff like that. Yeah, I just think that'd be viable, but again requires a hell of a lot of investment. But it would open up jobs for the village. It would bring people to the village. It wouldn't require the same amount of maintenance that this dump's required for God knows how long, because it's falling apart and was built God knows when. Let's have a look at the time, right? Yeah, so it's getting on a bit now, and I've been rattling on quite a while. What do you think? What do you think? Comment below. Look, I'm all right with people commenting. If you think I'm rabbiting on and I'm coming out with a load of old bollocks, that's fine. What's a better idea? What is a better idea? Put it underneath. I don't mind. I'll listen. You can feel free to say. I don't know. There's probably better ideas than mine out there. You know, log cabins, and I don't think we don't need another caravan park, but log cabins or you know, pods, whatever, might work. You know what? I don't think the whole entertainment, you know, the main building entertainment thing, I don't think there's any need for that. I don't think they need the expense of that anymore, even if it did open up. So all you would need is like a bank of a couple of cyclists in Lycra going past. How sad. Anyway, yeah, you wouldn't need that main building. I don't think that if it was log cabins and people were renting them out, boxy spider, people were renting them out on a weekly or weekend basis and stuff like that. You know, this is a beautiful place, this village, and there's stuff to do. You know, there's a couple of pubs, you've got the beach, and have it out of self-catering. Don't bother with a venue. You know, if you've got all that, why bother with the staffing and entertainment and all of that kind of crap? Just have your maintenance, have your cleaners, and you know, some management on site, and sorted, really. A hotel speaks for itself. The creation of jobs all round, either way, jobs that this village could do with, of course. And yeah, like I say, look, I'm just jabbering on a bit now for no reason, but tell me in the comments what you think. Put it down below. What's your idea? Yeah, I've heard it all. We should bulldoze it. We should do this, do caravans, fix it up. No, you know, it's not viable as it is. It's not going to get fixed up as it is. It's knackered, right? So, what's the options? What's the options? Come on. Maybe even someone from their head office will see it and think, oh yeah, that's a good idea, and it might have been your idea. So comment down below. Look, I haven't got that many subscribers, and I'm guessing more people are going to see this video than actually subscribe to my channel. So I'm going to put this on both of my channels. So I'm going to put it on my Camber Life, okay, and I'm going to put it on my Larry's Vintage, featuring Camber custom tattoo machines. So pop on over, whichever one you're watching this on, pop on over to the other one and subscribe at the same time. But you're doing me a big favour if you do subscribe, because that's what the channel needs. More people, more visitors. Share the video, tell your friends, whatever, and take care, and I'll catch you on the next one. I hope you found this useful. Take care.